Varya grabs her sneakers and Vaseline, and baby girl Lisa is done again. Coming up on the Fraudcast.
In the States or abroad, no one's safe from the talkers of fraud. In the States or abroad, no one's safe from the talkers of fraud.
The following goes beyond the show and beyond the gram to bring you all the fraud that's fit to be uncovered. This is the Fraudcast, and now, here are your fraudcasters, Hanakawa and Katrina.
Are you going to need to explain to the people what you meant by that, Hanakawa?
She's about to play Sock and Bop 'em with Mary.
She needs Vaseline for that?
Yes, so you can be slippery. You got your sneakers so you can be fast. You saw she didn't wear her hoops to the house.
Take
that shit off, put your hair in a ponytail. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Well, hi, you guys. Welcome back to the Fraudcast. We have with us again today Agent C.
That's right. I've become the Fraudcast's very own herpes.
Oh, I was going to say more like radio invasive species, but you went to herpes.
Potato, right? What's the difference? You could say I'm like the Asian carp in the Great Lakes.
He's like the potato that happens to grow on Mars because, you see that movie? Yes? No?
Because Matt Damon fingered me and put me in the ground.
What?
It's from Martian, where he grew potatoes in Mars and took a lot of Vicodin.
You guys are going to get us in trouble.
Oh, it's too late. All right.
Oh my god.
We're just trying to find where the bottom of the hole is now, not if we're going to go in it or not.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Goodness. we brought Agency along on this episode. Again, we figured, might as well coast the end of the season with him. And the season is apparently never ending. So is our time with Agent C as a co-host is never ending as well. It's a never ending season, you guys. Part of that, of course, now I have the Never Ending Story theme song in my head. And if you get that reference, that's why we're friends. They threw an extra episode in this season at the end. Isn't that fun?
Do you think it's because they love us so much?
Yeah, I think it's because we love them so much. So there are multiple theories on why they did this, and we don't have any confirmation about the exact reason they did it, and it might be multiple reasons, but because quarantine, and that leads to a lot of reasons, right? Is it because we're so thirsty and we need something to watch? Is it because the ratings have been so high this season, which they have been? Is it did they have this extra material? Did they decide to make an extra episode of replaying the scene of David waiting in the square over and over and over and over and see how many shots of that, how many replays of that exact scene we can see in a single episode? I don't know.
They should create a revenue per frame metric, because I think that 5 second has probably made the most money for them out of every other clip this season.
Well, and also I think they didn't anticipate the lovely leak that came out that kind of spilled the beans on Lana and Dave, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of footage of them bowling and having coffee and slowly talking about the world and her having to make her curfew home for some reason.
That's right. And TLC trolling him ferociously with that picture of him when he was a professional bowler.
And them just walking around, taking pictures everywhere for their, we met in person photo album for them to give to the consular officer.
Oh yeah, someone asked me about that. They said, is it going to negatively impact his case should it get to that point that they just have pictures from one day? So technically it's okay to have just one day's worth of photo. You just have to prove that you met. But if you're the interviewing officer and you're looking at these pictures and you just have one day, it's hard to build a chronology in your head of how their relationship has developed, and it really ticks off officers when they have to go by that, because it's not as easy for them to feel comfortable. So
explain then Annie and Robert, who met for 8 hours.
Yeah, my theory of that is that theirs is not the worst case that post has ever seen. That there's it probably goes way worse than that.
Well, knowing Annie, she probably changed a few times, so it seems like it's a different day.
It could be, but so the answer to the question is that it might not hurt him, but it also might not help him either. It depends on the culture of the section. It depends on what the cases are like at any given time. It depends on whether the officer's having a good day or not, or if they're new. Like new officers who just got on the line can be really risk averse. Depending, so it depends on a lot of factors. It certainly doesn't help, but it's not a guaranteed fatality.
Okay, interesting. Mm-hmm. So we had to add in all these. I guess it's unclear whether some of those scenes that we've been seeing on these episodes were intended to be seen during the season, or were going to be part of a package of this big reveal at the tell-all that Lana is real, or at the end of the season. We don't know what was originally planned. What we do know is that since the leak came out, they edited like 2 episodes ago, the one where he meets her, and instead of leaving the end of the episode with him standing there looking for her, and having her come up,
I think they were going to leave us hanging. So all the footage of him waiting for her was going to be them teasing us for 3 episodes, and we were going to probably see 5 minutes of her on the last episode again because.
Yes.
They find one formula that works. They think they need to gangbang it multiple times for the next seasons. So.
So there we have it. So that's where we are. So I think we have, one more episode. We're going to see baby girl Lisa's and Soulja Boy's wedding, I think.
Maybe. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think that's it.
They're leading up to it. It's almost like a YouTube video that's like never ready when they say it's going to be, so they keep saying, oh, we just need one more day to post it, and you're just kind of like, okay. We'll wait until you're ready to finish this shit.
So they're the only, everybody else is, like, the Americans gone back home and everything, so everybody else's stories are sort of wrapped up, and so we're just been building up to baby girl Lisa's wedding.
Yeah,
which
I think
we
that's
got
what we're
to see.
building to. Well, we're gonna see that, and then it also seems like they're kind of building up to Stephanie actually coming out.
Oh yeah,
the way that they're kind of slowly grinding on that, like she didn't just go home and get done with it, just rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Like the conversation with her mom in the car on the way home from the airport. Yeah,
right. Viciously awkward.
So we'll get into all of that shortly, but let's start with our social media roundup. So Devin claims she's trapped in Utah.
Yeah, this popped up on Reddit for me. I know she posted it on Instagram first, but I don't know what that is. So yeah, she said that she went to Utah for personal reasons. I have a theory about that. Yeah. I think it's because she wants to do filler maintenance by someone who can speak English and not Korean.
Filler maintenance on her face.
And people like Botox in Utah.
She's also been having some dental pain, right? I don't know.
Again?
I half-ass follow a lot of these people, but I remember there being she has a lot of dental issues that I think dentists
she did get her teeth done last time she was in Utah.
And so it could be
talked about
more.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she was able to travel there recently because that had to have been recently that she.
But what came back to the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah, she can come back to the U.S. just fine, but she claims that now the Korean government won't let her back in. Well, the Korean government has a new restriction in place on certain categories of traveler, but that doesn't start until June 1st. So she has, she got a lot of time. She can go back.
Right. I guess for me, I would make sure I could get back home to my family before I left.
Typically, you look up when there's like an issue that affects travel, whether you can come back.
Right.
Whether it's a global pandemic or not, I don't know.
There are some surprises. Like there is a chance she could have left and then 24 hours later they announced something, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's not like you visited somewhere and then 9/11 happened and all air travel is shut down, and it was for a reason that nobody saw coming, unless you're like a 9/11 truther. But this, like, she knows, we've all known for months that there's a human malware situation. So she could have Googled, "Can I come home?" or asked Jihoon, "Google this in Korea Talk."
I think she Googled, "Do I want to go back home?"
And then she
hit.
Then she hit.
Oh no, I can't go back.
Then she hit. I'm feeling lucky on Google. Yeah.
Oh my God, y'all! Agent C is in a mood today,
He
so
really is.
I'm sorry about his
ahead
face.
of time.
Yeah, sorry, you guys. I'm just warning you. You can abandon ship now if you don't want to go into it. But
No.
since like so many of our fans are really big, like they have like the agency fan club. Like so many of our listeners have an agency fan club. You'll probably like it. So, but he's in a mood. I'm just telling you.
You guys strap on. We're going fast and hard.
Oh no.
Oh my God, with a strap on.
The Patreon episode.
Yeah,
Censorship, sir.
We'll talk about that.
Sir, you are fired.
Oh,
In the words
God.
of David.
Oh my God.
It's the best
We have
line
a
ever.
Patreon, you guys. Patreon.com/thefraudcast. Talk about that more later.
Woo. Baby girl Lisa and Soulja Boy have a clothing line. I missed that. So I'm
Yes.
reading it now and I'm choking on it. Like,
Well, evidently, people
What?
have gone meme crazy on this.
Well, she posted this. Okay, so let's set the scene for you guys. She posted this picture that doesn't look any different from any of the other pictures she posts, which is a really bad angle. Like, she put her phone on the floor. She's wearing, like, sweats that you can't really see because of the angle of the phone. And she's wearing, like, a green shirt. That's it. And there's, like, a pack of cigarettes and an ashtray and, like, some cleaner or... I don't know. Like, it's posted, like, on this, like, white trash porch somewhere, right? Like, I don't know what is happening in this picture. If you read the caption, that's what tells you she's announcing this clothing line that Soulja Boy is going to be, she and Soulja Boy, I guess, are going to be coming out with. Now, nothing in the picture would let you know that this is a photo of a potential future clothing line because it doesn't look like that. And so people are having fun with it because they're putting like things on the shirt, like memes on the shirt and stuff.
so is she gonna have a shoe line too that like is flip flops for folks?
With missing toes.
with a toe already built into the flip flop.
Well, they have those like sandal sneakers, the sandal sneakers that have the toes,
But hers are only going to only have 9 toes.
like phantom support.
No, there'll be a fake toe in there already.
Oh my god!
She'll call them gangrenes.
I'm seeing the picture now, and I don't know. This is almost like that. Do you remember when Kanye West came out with his clothing line at first, and it was a plain white T-shirt for an absurd amount of money? Mm-hmm. That's what this reminds me of. Like, you don't do this until you are more than local talent. I'm just saying.
Well, and it's a green t-shirt and camo pants. And the camo pants, from what they look like I was wearing a pair of camo pants yesterday that are like these, like, joggers from Old Navy. And my Old Navy peeps, you feel me? Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? These like, terry fleece whatever joggers that I've been living in all of quarantine because they have pockets. Like, I have a pair of camo ones.
It looks like she just went to the army surplus store.
I mean, these clothes look at least a little bit like they're more full coverage than a lot of the stuff we've seen her in. So there's that.
If anyone's interested in buying anything from this clothing line, I think we should post and tag. I want to see how they look out in the wild.
Oh, out in the wild. If
Out
you
in the
do
wild?
buy it, tag us.
If you buy
Tag
it,
Hanakawa at 90 Day Fiance today.
because I'm curious. I'll repost
Tag
it.
agency. Oh wait, you can't tag agency because he's not on Instagram.
Joke's on you.
Anyways, yeah. Well, that's exciting.
Why does everyone have to jump on a clothing line? Why is that their ticket to riches? Like, Darcy's done it. Now
Darcy at least had that, like the outlines of it before she became.
Yeah, they're a different story because they have always had dreams of branching out everywhere and being like the trendsetters and
In House of 11 or House of Hope Bags, as it's been called.
House
It's
of
been
does it
around.
even sell clothes? Like, do people can they actually buy stuff from this store?
They have repopulated it. It died for a while, and then I think they came back with like their fake red bottoms, their fake Louis Vuittons and stuff. Like there's stuff, there's t-shirts and there's sunglasses and stuff on there. Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Again, if you buy their stuff, please tag us.
People usually start clothing lines when they know that they're sunsetting on their, media presence. Usually sports stars will start their own line because they know if they break a leg, then what do you have to fall back on, right?
It's their continuing line of revenue.
Well, not that Darcy listens to the show, but if she does, she should really make a Halloween version of the fake Louis Vuittons that have an eyeball attached at the heel, and they can call it like the Jessie Special Edition.
Because he's watching her.
No, it's because
she threw the Louis Vuitton at his face.
It was the big conflict in season 2.
Oh my God.
He had a trauma.
He had a trauma.
All right. Anything else for our social media roundup? Did anything else exciting happen?
Exciting? No.
Ed claims he's had 47 marriage proposals. I want to know how
many of them were legal.
That's disturbing.
We're real. We're real. Like, how many of them were not...
Right.
Like a 13-year-old going, "Oh my God, I want to marry you." That's not a real marriage proposal, Ed. That can't count.
At least not in this country.
It's disturbing, but it's sadly on that true. Okay, yeah. We'll just kind of gloss over that.
Yeah, we're still on the everybody else outside of the 90-day fandom loves Ed train.
Well, that's because they're all 16. And
PewDiePie told them to like him.
Yeah.
He calls him the man of thickness.
Oh my God.
As soon as the show ends, so will most of these people, and I think Ed will be one of them. He will lose relevance.
They'll definitely stall. Right now they're growing, but I mean, unfortunately, he's kind of become a meme. So
yeah.
Oh, I did see one other thing on social media. Evidently, there's an Avery fan page, and while there's no proof that it's just her posting things about herself, there's also no proof that it isn't.
So are you making an accusation that Avery is running a fan page for herself?
I'm just saying that there's no proof that she's not.
Avery from Ash and Avery? Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. Now. A lot of these people, so like all the fan pages you'll see will disappear after their season is over. They usually will run a fan page, get the followers, and then sell it after they have followers. Like you saw that with Juliana. She had a fan page that was growing, and then all of a sudden it turned into something else, probably because they sold it to somebody who just wanted the followers. It's a very common practice. I would not think that Avery had enough time, nor would she want to split followers with a fan page.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if she's even at 50 yet. I don't know, but...
God, way to burst my
Agency's
balloon.
New to, I know. Look at him. He's trying to bust fraud, and we're like, nope. 90-Day Fiance official fan account. I mean, the official account, fan account, whatever it is. So the official 90-Day Fiance account has announced the final happily ever after couples, and the last two were Paul and Carini, or Paul and Carini, as some know him by, and Angela and Michael. You probably have to do your Michael impression.
Do the Michael. I'm too congested today. It's funny. It's interesting because they're doing a happily ever after, and we clearly see that Michael is not in the United States per the previews of the show. So, can I say that's a first? Is it the first time they do a long distance happily ever after?
I'd have to look back at the other ones. I mean, this kind of is the first time we've ever really had the issue with that Michael and Angela have.
Right.
Where one party is stuck in another country because they can't be let in because their visa's denied. And on top of that, there's a travel ban from that country.
Right.
So he's got double the reason why he can't come in. So I don't know that we've ever had this as an issue before. So going into happily ever after, which is happily ever after ? They which follows a like continuing story of some of the couples, and like so yeah we haven't, they've always been together. We haven't had this scenario. I guess they didn't want to put him. I guess Angela didn't want to move to Nigeria and do the other way, even though like we know the other way as a show is just like we're gonna pretend like we're moving there, but we're not really.
We're just visiting, is what it turns out.
We're just
to
visiting.
Be. Yeah, but she has way too many obligations in the United States. All her.
So even TLC couldn't pretend that she was going to move?
No. People would call bullshit on that so fast. Like, we thought you had obligations kind of thing, and you're gone.
She'd have to have sufficient money to send them to all those kids to the American school.
Her daughters would have to be able to step up and take care of their kids.
Or she'd take them with her and send them to the American school.
One's in jail, right?
Yeah. Do we know when Scotty gets out of jail?
No clue.
And would she be allowed to have the kids after that?
That's a big question. It's a very big question.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs attached to that.
Right.
Yeah. So Angela's taking care of all the kids. So yeah, you're right. I don't think even TLC knew that the audience wouldn't buy her pretending to move to Nigeria. Right. But doing Happily Ever After, I mean, they're continuing to be a couple. So this is following their story of this is how they're going to live, right?
Right. And so all together we have Angela and Michael, we have Paul and Karini, we have Larissa and Colt, Libby and Andre. Who am I forgetting?
Tania and Sinjin?
Kalani.
Yeah, Tanya and Sinjin.
Tanya and Sinjin. Asuelu.
Almost like you said Kalani. Kalani and Asuelu.
Kalani and
I was like,
Asuelu.
who?
Oh, poor Kalani. I like those guys.
I like them both too.
I like them too.
The only ones that are going to be weird is Larissa and Colt, because they're clearly not together. And we saw a preview of Colt having an argument with his first girlfriend of that season, I'm assuming, which is Jessica. And so right off the bat, they kind of let you know it's going to be.
But Colt 2.0 is coming, you guys. Aren't you excited?
Is this a new and improved Colt?
I'm not excited at all. I am excited for Paul and Karini, who originally were going to be slated. They were bouncing back and forth, I think, is what happened, because I had intel that they were going to be on the web-only series, and there was other intel that they were going to be on Happily Ever After. And so my assumption that I made, which was maybe correct, maybe not correct, I have no idea. I have no way of finding out if it is correct, is that they were bouncing them around trying to figure out where they were going to slot their footage.
Right.
And it looks like they did end up on Happily Ever After. And I am I'm a huge Paul fan. I've always been. I want to strap a GoPro to his head and just watch him live his life,
just
because, oh my God.
It's like what actually do you do? Because I'm really curious. Really curious. And then there's some things I'm not curious about.
There's nobody that weird, except there is. It's Paul, so I want to see. Oh, and social media roundup news, going back to that, Paul put out a post asking if he should help Karini, because Karini wants him to help set up an OnlyFans page for her, and should he help her?
How true do you think that is? Because I feel like a lot of them are just trolling with this OnlyFans, because a certain number of them are creating OnlyFans, like legit for real creating them. And it's just really strange to see like the 90-day stars going into this, like, see my nudes for a price. Like, fuck Cameo. I'll show you my titties for $1. And I don't even know how much OnlyFans takes, but like, you know, I think that what they should do is their OnlyFans monthly price should be the same as the season they were on. So Larissa can say she's on season 6, which can be $6. Danielle has to be $2.
She was, oh God, Danielle on an OnlyFans.
You meant 2 cents, right?
$2. $2. Like, so the most recent seasons can charge a little bit more. So I think that's a great.
Well, Stephanie's about right. She charges $5.
Stephanie is at $8, I think.
Oh God!
But you also have to remember that with for OnlyFans. But you also have to remember
she has the Patreon.
She has Patreon, she has OnlyFans, and she has her revenue from YouTube. So they don't let you know how many people subscribed, and at Patreon they don't let you know how many subscribed at what tier. But I mean, but she was doing this before the show.
Yeah, she was.
So yeah. But anyways, yeah.
What?
I'm just thinking about like Cole actually setting Karini up in an OnlyFans account and then trying to burn it down when people actually join.
But she's pregnant.
If Paul made occasional appearances, not like in like a gross, like creepy sexual way, just like he showed up in his hazmat suit, I'd watch that shit.
I'm not letting my mind go there. We're gonna move on.
Oh, you know, that reminds me of that scene in the original Naked Gun where Frank Drebin is talking to what's her name, Jane, about having safe sex, and then they show them both in full body condoms.
Oh my god!
Nothing but complete nerd references on this show, you guys, and I don't even know half of them. That one I think I knew, but I don't know. But Karini is pregnant, and there is a market for pregnant porn.
No,
so,
not thinking about it.
So think about it.
Nope.
I mean, I'm just saying there is a market for it. There's a really big market for it. Let's move on to season 4 of Before the 90 Days, episode 563.
563. We can get the most ridiculous plot line out of the way first, right?
Which is?
Baria and Jeffrey.
Oh, God.
They've somehow infiltrated their way into we're not talking about them, but we're talking about them because it's just so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's fraud involved here, right? And we said at the very beginning that we would talk about them to the extent that it, was the subject of the show. And since we don't really recap, we're just talking about like the fraud, this whole story arc that's happening is just a continued fakeness, fake, fraudulent story. I believe, I talked about this like last week and the week before, I believe, maybe it was the week before that. At least last week I talked about this, where I believe that their entire storyline is fake. At least fake from the Jeffrey side. And Varia flying to Nashville, or Memphis, where's he at? Nashville? Knoxville, whatever. I'm sorry, guys.
One of the villes in Tennessee is where he lives.
And she flies there and shows up when Mary happens to be at his house. No, that's not real. It's all set up. It's fake. They're bad acting with this, you need to get out of here, and oh my gosh, and whatever she's saying about, she irritates me, you need to leave, this is my house, not yours, or whatever.
I will send you to Soviet Gulag.
But like, Mary is like fed up, so she starts packing her shit. Like, you remember when Tanya and Sinjin, when she made him like the sex corner? Mm-hmm. Like, she literally packed up the sex corner, like the roses, candles, and shit, and just left. I was like, what? I don't understand the whole point. I would have left that shit there for her to see that they were,
leftovers.
I would have left my panties on the bed.
Well, they had to show us, let us see her packing it up as part of the story arc that is entirely made up and fake.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
And then it spills over to Instagram because I think she posted something about like, now that you saw me get my heart broken on national TV. So it's so hard. I know.
Fake.
I just can't. Like, she walks out of the door and she's like, you bitch. I was like, whoa, what triggered this? Like, I feel like there's a whole like part of the story we didn't get to see.
It's like someone handed her like a 5-page pamphlet of how American trailer trash people are supposed to act, and she just memorized it on the flight.
They hyped her up on Jerry Springer on the way out there.
Just
like,
act like
this
Jerry
is
Springer.
how you confront a man when you're trying to get him back. She's like, okay,
that's
okay,
right.
I've got it. I'm ready.
I'm ready. David and Lana.
I mean, what's there to say that hasn't already been said? Like, I thought we covered it pretty comprehensively last week, except that he's much more of a creepy uncle figure than he was last time.
Yeah, they're not making this look good. Like, I guess we were hoping that like he'd meet Lana and that the story would take a turn to them like falling in love. We know from the leaks that he proposes to her, right? Mm-hmm. She says yes in the leaks, but
We haven't seen that yet. Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet, but leading up to it, there's just kind of like, I don't know, it just feels like they're placing these random scenes of them spending time together and then like chopping it up to make him look like the creepy uncle.
Do you think that the private investigator is secretly her husband? And that's why he couldn't find her?
Oh my God. You're just making up theories now. You're just making up conspiracy theories.
We can have like the theory corner for agency. Because people be like, oh, yeah, who knows?
I 100% made that up, but what if it was true?
What if? It would change everything.
But, yeah, agency's conspiracy corner over there.
What do you think the C stands for?
Oh my goodness. Conspiracy. Anyways, yeah, they bowled. They took pictures.
Yep. They had a fancy dinner.
They drove an hour to go bowl because the bowling place they went to was like an hour outside Kiev. Kiev? I want to say Quiche. I want to say that totally wrong. Yeah, it's like an hour away from where they met.
What about the restaurant they had dinner at? And she ate bunnies.
They did eat bunnies, huh?
She did. She ordered bunny.
Did. I wonder how that tastes.
She ordered rabbit, and he was like, "Oh, we call that bunny."
Rabbit's really gamey. It's a very gamey meat.
It's on the menu at places. It's not like it's
so is
that
puffin in
unusual.
Iceland. I didn't get to try it, but I mean.
Ooh.
She also ordered grape juice when he really wanted her to drink wine. That tells you a lot.
She ordered grape juice.
Oh, grapefruit juice.
Well, I mean, she probably doesn't drink it. Who knows? They're very, very health conscious out there, and I think drinking is seen as like not health conscious.
He's like, let's order some wine or some tequila. It's like, dude, you're in Ukraine. It's vodka.
He's like, body shots. Body shots.
I was thinking maybe he was referencing some conversation that they had.
That's the
over
hard
the 7
part.
years.
Is that it feels so chopped up that like I can't catch on to what like the storyline is doing because it's just so. It seems like there's a lot of inside jokes, a lot of inside conversation, and it just comes off as him like asking her to do body shots with tequila and shit.
I just feel like when you say inside, it's like inside of his head. Because I'm not convinced that she actually knows what he's talking about.
I think it's inside the chat boxes that there's no history.
Yeah, but also I don't have proof for this, but I do think that she was a model and they paid for her pictures and she's never set foot on that website.
We'll never know.
We'll never know, but that's what I think. And so he's saying all this stuff to her. And she's just like, ha ha ha, whatever, man.
I think also her English is not good.
Yeah, and he's talking through the translator, like stuff loses, jokes lose in translation, and then she gets it, so that's what it seemed to me is when he said the tequila comment, I thought he was referencing some conversation they had where either they joked about possibly doing tequila body shots, or she talked about a story about once upon a time, she had tequila and
or one to
so
try
funny.
Tequila. Who knows? It's just so random.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think Ukraine's popular for their tequila, but
yeah,
I don't think you want to drink that.
Yeah, no, probably not.
But I still want to give. I know we're not recapping, but I just want to give Lana props. She stares down the producers like a champion. I love that stuff. I love it when they ask her a question. She's like, "No."
Didn't she
question.
look pissed though? Can you imagine how many times or how long they had her sitting to do that interview?
Yeah, it was.
Because at
it was
some
fantastic.
point you saw the fire in her eyes. Like she kind of had this look like, "Why the fuck are you asking me that question again?"
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I'm
why
done.
are you making me
it.
answer it this way? Right? I don't know. It seemed like there was a little bit of anger in that interview, but
again, we think all of her interview and her 24 hours before segment and all that, we think that was filmed after the fact because we had intel that her producers didn't even know if they were going to meet her this time.
Right.
Or
they sent a skeleton producer crew because like the fifth time out, is she really going to show up? And when she did, yeah. So
Ed and Rose. Now, the only thing I have to say about them is, so when Ed is in the car and driving home with his mom, like he's explaining to his mom what went down in the Philippines, and none of that is accurate, is the way that it actually went down. So the question is, was he lying to his mom, or was that actually his perception of the events?
I think he was trying to make himself look good because he's not going to tell his mom, I told her to shave her legs and I told her breath stunk. And
I didn't tell her that I didn't want more kids until, even though I knew, because he told us many, many times that he knew she wanted more kids. And he has to tell her that he doesn't want more before he left. So him telling his mom, oh, well, she just suddenly sprung this on me that she wants more kids is complete and utter bullshit.
He's not going to make himself look bad in front of his mother.
Yeah.
And he's not going to go into deep details to his mom about what he did out there. So
Yep.
I think he was just trying to pad it so that he could look good in her eyes and get cookies and kisses when they got home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It also...
He's still a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, and the thing, like, it kind of occurs to me right now that, you know, he waited to spring all that information on her after they had boinked. And it's like, come on, man.
He's just gross.
It's gross.
Gross. Just more reason why he's a piece of shit.
I also, like...
And that's all I have to say about that.
To me, like, probably one of the most egregious things he did in my mind was saying he was going to stay at her house and then bouncing after a day and leaving the kid behind. Like, that's so incredibly disrespectful to the family. And showing respect to the family is very important out there. Like, that really sent shivers up my spine when he did that, because it wasn't just like him being rude to her. He's being rude to everyone around her. And that's just like, oh, come on, man. Bring the kid with you.
He doesn't care, because that's not what it's about for him, so he doesn't care.
Well, he had a crazy experience. He got something out of it. He's gone home and he can rinse and repeat. So
Yeah, find somebody new.
And he gave a bunch of Japanese schoolgirls his stickers, you know?
He's got all these new fans.
he gave
He'll find
everybody
somebody
his
new.
stickers. Like, those stickers are probably on the underside of toilets he doesn't even know
Yeah.
where they belong.
Ash and Avery.
Ash and Avery.
Yeah. So there was something kind of informative that we saw this episode, and that was that we learned a little bit about Ash's citizenship status. Okay, so he says he's applying for his Australian passport, and he says it's going to take 3 to 6 to 12 months. What he's really saying, if you kind of think about it a little bit, and I'm not sure, I'm saying this not because I think one way or another about like people's ability to get this. Like, people were confused on Reddit, at least, so it needs clarification. He's talking about obtaining Australian citizenship through naturalization, and that's what's going to take 3 to 6.
And how do we know that?
Well, because getting a passport takes 10 days in the United States. If you're a citizen of a country and you're applying for a passport, it's a really fast turnaround. All they're doing is printing the damn thing.
Right.
But what he's doing is applying to say that he's met the legal requirements to obtain Australian citizenship and going through a much deeper process with the government than simply obtaining a document. So that's really what he's saying. He said that his current passport is Mauritius. That means he's to get an Australian.
He did say that. So that's what we were wondering at the beginning of the season was, what kind of citizenship did he have? Because and why couldn't he, what was this bankruptcy issue that prevented him from traveling? And you have some clarification on this now?
Right. Well, so because we know that his current passport is a Mauritian passport, he's applying for his Australian passport, which is just his clumsy way of saying he's trying to naturalize. We know that at the time he was considering visiting Avery, that he was applying with a Mauritian passport, which means his odds of being refused for a tourist visa were essentially 100%. It's very hard for people from poorer countries who live in a richer third country, or any third country for that matter, to get a tourist visa. It's very rare. Management, it's kind of culturally not something that's generally allowed. Like, sometimes you have to fight with your manager to do it if you think you've got a really strong case. I don't know what the culture is at the consulate general that he would have applied at, but it would be very difficult for him to get one. given his circumstances.
So going back to the first episode, when he said he had this bankruptcy issue and that's why he couldn't travel, that was bullshit?
It could be, or it could...
Was they frauding us?
I mean, it's not unheard of.
Remember when we heard at the beginning, you know, he had this bankruptcy issue and that prevented him from traveling, and we looked into it and we found out that yes, in fact, the Australian government can hold up your passport if you've had a bankruptcy. So we thought, oh, okay, that is kind of legit. But now we find out that he didn't have an Australian passport then. So what was it that was preventing him from traveling? Oh, it was the fact that he had a Mauritian passport. So all of that other shit about bankruptcy is just bullshit, right?
Well, we also have to remember, we heard the whole bankruptcy storyline from Avery in the beginning. I don't think he ever said it.
That's true. But the other thing is that if he's living in Australia, the Australian government may be able to seize your passport no matter its origin, as a way of, you know, proceeding with its particular bankruptcy laws. You know, it's easier for them to take an Australian's passport because passports are property of the government that issued them. You don't own your passport. You are issued one by the government. But it's still entirely possible that as part of a court proceeding, he was required to turn over his Mauritian passport. We'd have to be well studied in Australian bankruptcy law and proceedings to know for sure.
I mean, because spoilers, he gets out of Australia. So
we know that he went and visited Avery twice
At
since
least.
the filming of the show.
So either he got his bankruptcy thing dealt with, or it was never really an issue, and he interpreted his refusal as being connected to a prior bankruptcy thing, when it really was just a standard no ties 214B refusal. It's hard to know because Ash has never given us a very clear picture of what happened. But I think that now that we know that he has a Mauritian passport at the time that episode was recorded, that you know, the odds of him getting a visa were essentially zero. So he just had to get his Australian. Right. That's the simplest explanation.
Sounds good for Ash.
Yeah.
He can travel now.
But there is a theory. There is a theory out there.
God.
There's speculation that the reason why him and Sion didn't get divorced for so long is so that he could obtain his Australian citizenship by virtue of marriage. And they stayed married, and that the reason they got divorced when they did is because he had met the legal requirement to become a citizen. And if you think about it from Sion's perspective, because they have a seemingly okay relationship, and it's important for her to have her son's father around, that she would agree to stay married legally so that he could not face deportation back to Mauritius for the sake of their son. Now, we don't have any proof, and he would never admit that on TV, obviously.
Neither should he.
Nor should he, no. Good for you, Ash, for not saying it. So we don't have hard proof.
But that's actually a really good theory.
It's a really good theory. I can't take credit for it. It was on Reddit. It was someone else posted this on Reddit. It's a very good theory, though, and I think that it's extremely logical, which means that it could potentially be true. Now, if someone wants to give us some tea to confirm it, that would be most welcome. But
I mean, there's a lot of things too, though, because his brother lives in Australia with him, and I believe his parents came over. He was about 19, so, and I don't know when he got married to Sion, but he's been in Australia for a good amount of time before he probably got married.
Yeah.
Since he's 40 something, go back 10 years, go back.
Someone said he came on a student visa.
He could have. He was 19.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
He was, yeah.
But anyway, that's a theory that's out there. I don't have any hard proof, but it's a very logical theory. It would actually explain his timeline with Sion very, very well.
Moving along, Stephanie and Erica. We get Stephanie send off. That's it. Nothing of note there. Stephanie's back. As you talked about at the top of the show, we think it's leading up to her coming out to her parents.
Yeah.
To her mom.
Just because I feel like they wouldn't be following her anymore for any reason other than that. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel finished with her storyline the way it seems like it's going to be finished with others. But, you know, it could be because they had a bad separation and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. There's really nothing there.
baby girl visa and
baby
Usman.
ghoul visa.
Oh, it just keeps transforming. What are these names?
Oh my god. I think this was the last known sighting of the right pinky toe.
Oh my God. Getting delicately washed off before prayer.
Yeah, but see, the foot that they show propped up on the toilet is actually her left foot. The right foot is the one she lost the pinky toe on. And we see that when she's standing there ready to go. That's when we see the pinky toe.
Well, I mean, she had to wash both feet, right?
Yeah, but we don't see it on the screen. I'm talking about like the last known sighting on screen.
Oh, that made me think about that song, the left foot slide, right foot. It's been a day.
So she's done again. I don't know. I need a compilation of how many times she said, I'm done, God. And
the
walked away.
The one time that she needed to just keep her shit together in front of his family, he should have known better. He should have known that she was going to combust and embarrass him. I was like, this is what embarrasses you? Out of all this is what embarrasses you? But okay.
Being rude in front of his family?
Right. And that's a big thing. You don't be rude in front of like your elders, right? That's what they were, as elders. And basically she treated them like crap and the elders were like, ooh boy.
Self-quarantine edition.
Yeah.
We started with, we had some Ronald and Tiffany. What we know about them is they started the process of the visa, the U.S. visa process for Ronald to come to the U.S. 4 months ago. And what does that mean?
It means that they filed their I-130 petition, which is the document you use for a spousal visa. At 4 months in, the petition is still being looked at. USCIS is still processing petitions, even with the virus situation. So this doesn't really affect them. My prediction is that by the time the petition is approved, the National Visa Center and embassies and consulates will be back to normal. So, I mean, it's possible that they could be slowed down a little bit by backlog clearing, but also the backlog could be cleared by the time that they're done. The real issue is that because Tiffany doesn't have income, if she'll have recovered her income sufficient to sponsor him, or else they'll have to obtain a co-sponsor.
I feel in some of these cases, it's always a co-sponsor. They just don't let us know it.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, they just don't talk about it. On the show, on their season, they talk about Ronald's criminal history. And what I have learned is that he doesn't actually have anything on his record. And so he doesn't have anything that would impede him being able to get approved for a visa in that regard. I mean, maybe there's something else, but in regard to his criminal history, they talked about it being this big issue. He doesn't actually have anything on his record. So they were a little bit, were they fraudulent? Were they just sort of blurring it a little bit about, well, this one was cleared and this one he said sorry for and that one he said sorry for, so they took it off. I don't know the South African criminal justice system. We don't know how much of that was just embellished for the show. But what we do know is that he does not have any criminal record to speak of that would interfere with his visa process. So he doesn't need to get a waiver or anything like that, like John of Rachel and John.
Let's clarify a little bit. In order to he'd have to have been convicted of a crime involving moral turpitude. And there are provisions in the regulations about crimes that have been expunged. I'd have to double check those. Maybe that can be a follow-up we share on Instagram during the week. But the threshold issue is that he has to have been convicted of something that is, by our standards, a crime involving moral turpitude. So
right, and he doesn't have any of that.
If he hasn't been convicted of anything, then it's not really a CIMT, so he might not be refused under that category. Now, if he admits at the window, yes, I stole 50 televisions and beat up a homeless guy.
When we talk about crimes involving moral turpitude, those are things that John of Rachel and John has to worry about, right? So we got an update from them as well, that they did apply for the visa initially, the initial visa, which they're still waiting on. Mm-hmm. I guess their lawyer gave him a 3.5-year estimate, which seems long, but long.
But a good attorney is conservative in their estimates of time. That way, when it happens faster, their clients can be happy.
So, So what will happen with them most likely is that the petition will be processed, but he will be refused the visa most likely be refused because of his crimes involving moral turpitude, which are beating the crap out of people, hurting their eyes, and then have to seek a waiver from the Department of Justice.
The waiver is actually issued by USCIS.
And so this is a spousal visa,
yes,
right? So because they're already married, so it is not impacted by this current order.
The immigration ban that was announced was it affected numerically limited family preference categories, and I think IR5s, which are parent visas, but I have to double check the text, and certain numerically limited employment categories, which at IR1, which is probably what they'll be at by the time they get to the interview, is not impacted by this order. The only thing is going to be he's going to be refused for his CIMT ineligibility, and they'll have to get a waiver from USCIS. But they can prepare for that.
Okay, and so she's also preparing because she lost her job, so she recognizes that she needs to have a co-sponsor, so she talks to her friend about doing it for her. And the only thing I'm really not liking, and they do this repeatedly throughout the show, is this 10-year responsibility period. They always make it sound like you're responsible for like their daily living expenses for 10 years, no matter what. That's not what it means.
That's right. That's correct.
That's not what it means, you guys. What it means is that if the person applies for and receives government assistant benefits, like SNAP benefits, something like that, then the government can come after you as the person who signed for it, to pay back those benefits. That's what that means. It's not you're responsible for this person for 10 years for their daily living expenses. And I really dislike that they continue to portray it that way. But I mean, drama. Oh my God, you have to be responsible for him for 10 years? Only if he goes and tries to get benefits.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind is that they haven't really been enforced, at least when, under the last administration, that was not seen as something that was regularly enforced. So the government has to choose to come after you. It's not automatic. So it's kind of it's more of a paper exercise. At least it used to be. I think it's tightened up a little bit now.
All right, so that's what that's about.
Yeah.
And we saw Jesse again because I don't know. I can't
Oh my
handle
God.
seeing him.
I don't understand. Every time he starts his, it's like 3 years ago. We're like, yes, we know. It was a while ago, and you're still here. Like all of this quarantine, I like it, but sometimes it's hard to watch because it seems like it's a really bad IG live.
Yeah, and that really,
and they're just
the Jesse segment really was.
It was it's cringe central. I don't feel like they trolled him as much as they normally do. I feel like maybe with his conversation with his mom, they trolled him a little bit. But I also like it. Like Jesse's trash. I don't know if we've said that enough already. I feel like you could say it every 10 seconds and it would be okay.
He's pretty trash.
Yeah, but like I don't give a crap that you're losing money, dude. You're staying in a hotel in a city that you live in, and like who fucking cares, man? Shut up, you thirsty asshole.
The only other thing that we're just going to touch on real quick. So there's a new immigration ban coming down the pike. Potentially, it's been reported in the press that it's coming down, but it's not. The text of it hasn't been released. What do we know about this new immigration ban?
Allegedly, it's going to go after certain types of employment categories. Those are probably non-immigrant employment categories. So things like maybe like H-2As, or like some of the seasonal workers, or certain types of so-called low-skilled. But we won't know until the text is out. Maybe they'll have something on immigrant categories as well. Maybe they'll clarify the stance on Ks. It's not clear, so let's not mouth froth right now. Let's see what happens when it comes out, and we'll give you an update on that. It also could. The other thing we should look for is whether it extends the prior order for a longer period of time than it had originally been slated to extend for. Because before it was I think a 60-day ban, and it might go. They might stretch it out longer, so that could impact the TLC's ability to have couples come for normal seasons. But if you want to stay up to date on the latest regarding these types of issues, you can go to askthevisaofficer.com and subscribe to the blog. It's a very helpful blog.
And that seamless transition to shameless self-promotion.
There you go. He got it out of the way shamelessly.
It's never been a problem.
You can subscribe to the Patreon at patreon.com/thefraudcast, where we are talking currently about, we're doing a series on foreign marriage and I mean, I would say relationship, but it's more than just relationship stuff. It's basically foreign marriage customs and how, trying to, immigrate and things like that. We have covered, we did a Ukraine and Russia mail order bride episode. We did an episode last week talking about all these interesting twists about China. And coming up, we are going to be doing Japan. And this is fascinating because both Hanakawa and Agent C are fluent in Japanese. They both have...
I wish I was fluent.
Well, okay. Well, okay, so Agent C is fluent. You are I don't know what your level of competence is in Japanese, but it's better than mine, which is to say that I have none. So they're giving me assignments. I'm watching things. It's really fascinating. There's a lot of information. They're both the sort of like subject matter experts on a lot of this stuff. So because of that, there's going to be a lot of really interesting material, and I'm really looking forward to recording these. And I think we're going to actually end up breaking it up into 2 episodes because there is so much information. So that is coming, and it's coming from people who have really extensive knowledge of this. So if you like their viewpoints on stuff, this will be perfect for you. That said, continues shameless self-promotion. Hanakawa.
I'm shamelessly found on Instagram at 90 Day Fiance today. And if you want to follow my more personal lifestyle blogging activities, you can find me at Hanakawa_Draven.
Excellent.
Should probably put that in the notes because
yeah, I think
it's a lot to spell.
Putting it in the show notes, you can click on that. Since we're talking about Patreon, again, that is patreon.com/thefraudcast. I want to give a shout out to our recent Patreons, and that is Shay, Susan, Annie, Katie, Florian, Rachel, Stephanie, Melis, Allie, Chelsea, Kat, Elizabeth Ann, Megan, Anne, Trina, Lauren, Rose, Sunita, Bailey, Circe, Marion, just P, it says, Liz, and Megan, Robin, Giselle, I might be overlapping here, Giselle, Caitlin, Nayla, Joy, Ty, Patricia, Stephanie, Celery, Christy, Kurt, Chantel, Melody, T-Rex, Kathy, Kendra, Kathleen, Kat. Have I gone back far enough here? I'm going back to May 15th. I think that's
probably good.
That's probably good.
I didn't hear T-Rex, but that's probably good.
Well, I didn't do last
T-Rex.
So thank you. You guys who have joined at the $5 level, I owe you stickers. I will be doing that probably this coming weekend. This weekend, I'll be able to get to those and get those stickers mailed out to you. As a reminder, if you join at the $3 level, it's all it takes is $3. You get all of this extra content, these extra episodes. At the $5 level, you get all of that content. Plus, I will mail you a one-time gift of the Fraudcast stickers. So that's fun. And you can find me at Frauded by TLC on Instagram. If you want to follow my personal page, it is just Frauded on Instagram, where we do other sort of fun stuff, makeup tutorials and other things where licensed or whatever, like professional makeup artists do the tutorials, not me. I'm learning this stuff. With that, we thank you for listening. We are very glad to have you along for the ride, and we are the Fraudcast, and we are dumpster diving, so you don't have to.
This Fraudcast has been produced and edited by yours truly. Art by Sarah Dawdy. Music written, produced, and performed by Ooh Mommy. Further assistance provided by many unnamed fraud consultants.